Okay, we are now streaming live on Facebook, everyone. Welcome. We are so glad everyone could join us. Cheryl and Nancy and Kelly, thank you for being here. And Darlene.
I'm not seeing this live on our, oh wait, maybe I'm not in the site. Yeah, I'm in the site. Oh, there we are. Okay. All right. Now we're good.
All right. Very good.
Okay. Sorry, everyone.
That's okay.
Well, my hair is looking pretty crazy here. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So let's get started on our topic. This is a great topic too. We had a really fun conversation this morning.
We did. We really did.
So,
and our topic is approaching veterinaries, clinics, or vets with Reiki, or, working with them. How do we do that? And what kind of success rate do we have? And what are some tips on that? So,
spoiler alert, our rate isn't very good.
Exactly. It isn't very good. No.
But
everybody's shocked.
But there are ways that we can do it. The reason our success rate isn't very well is because a lot of us, well, first of all, there's still a lot of the old guard vets around, and a lot of us, that's who our vets are. But some of the younger vets, or the vets now that they're going into fear-free and other type of, letting animals lead. They don't call it let animals lead, but it is, they're basically trying to make it more comfortable for animals and really taking their needs into consideration first. Those type of vets are coming up in the ranks, and those are the ones that we can get to, because I think traditionally most of us, when we started off asking vets, it was really those traditional vets that were no. And that's another thing, like not very many of us go to holistic vets. And those are really the vets that are going to be a little more open to that process. So that's kind of why, that's the disclaimer of why we're not in that many. But we do have two vets in Sarah. We have Dr. Sally Lane and we have Dr. Mark Malik, who are both Sarah members and board members. So they fully believe in it. And in fact, Mark Malik's, his vet office is in Sacramento, and he's one of the top vets there. And he even has a little Reiki room. And so he'll send his clients there to the Reiki room. They have like a little fountain in there. It's all dimly lit. It's very quiet and very peaceful in there. And a lot of times he sends people in there when their animals aren't responding to what's happening, any type of medication or medication, or if it's like kind of nearing the end and there is no other thing but Reiki, he'll send them in there. And they found a lot of success with that. Their clients really like it a lot. So there are vets that are open. It's just, we have to be a little more select, I think, in finding them. And so we have some great tips for you today.
Absolutely. And I think that's wonderful that we have two vets in the Sarah organization.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that speaks volumes that maybe things are changing slowly, but if we're patient, I think we'll get there. And that was what we talked a lot about this morning, right, Leah? Was
yeah,
patient.
Absolutely.
Yes. So has anybody here approached a vet's office, and what kind of luck did you have with that? Show of hands, just jump right in there. Oh, Kelly has.
Kelly, do share.
Yeah, share with us.
Well, I'm laughing because my story is kind of funny. I was telling Leah this story yesterday. I actually, there are several holistic vets in my area, or around the state, and so I got a list of them, and then I just sent an email to each one, and maybe letters even back then, but it was a while ago, and just explaining what I did and asking if I could come and talk to them, and I didn't hear back from anybody, and then and I'd run into some of them, occasionally because of my work at the farm sanctuary or whatever, and so then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get this email from a vet tech who was cleaning off her boss's desk and found my email and said, oh, I talked to my boss about it. And she said, why don't you come in and get her to come in and talk to us? So I did. So I go in and I talk, and they want me to work on this dog that was a stray and had been brought to the vet because it had some issues. And so I was like, we don't want that kind of pressure, first of all, of like, oh, perform right now with a dog you don't even know, and the dog is a stray. Like, it was like the worst possible situation to show the effects of Reiki. But so they gave us a room, and I just sat in the room, and the vet sat in there with us, and me and the dog. And the dog was great. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better result. He just settled down right away, fell asleep. She was relaxed, the vet. So then she got into me with this whole thing of like, why don't we set you up? We'll, get you on the website, send me all the information we can post. And this whole thing like went down, and, have your, you'll be we'll refer people to you. And I want you to come and teach my vet techs. And so, so we set up a class, and she was going to take the class. And then all of a sudden, like a couple of days later, I get this call from her, and she's just not, I talked to a colleague of mine, and he's totally against it. And, thinks that, he says that, that Reiki, when you do Reiki, entities come in. And I mean, she kept saying things about entities. And I was like, that's not my experience. And, but there was no way I was going to change her mind. But she still had me come in and teach the class, which I thought was really strange. And then it just kind of fizzled out from there. I never heard from the students again. I never got a referral. My name was on the website for a while. I imagine it's gone now, but that it was just the strangest thing, because the other person she spoke with was a vet who just didn't, thought that Reiki was devil's work. And so, and I think really that's where all these, why we have why it's so important that we let animals lead out there, because there's so many variations on the theme of Reiki. There's so many things that don't coincide at all with what we do. And not just, and I think, the human side of Reiki as well, the exposure that people have with that is so different and can be off the rails. I mean, I actually had somebody one time tell me, a Reiki practitioner told him he had a black heart. And I was just like, this kid was in the hospital, and I was, oh my God, how could somebody say that to somebody? So, there's so much out there that's not what we're practicing. And so, we really have to work hard against that current, because, that's, a lot of times that's where they're coming from. And, I'm hopeful, because I think, Leah's right, or Jamie, which one of you said about these younger vets coming in. I've had more vet techs take classes, which has been good. But my own vet, I mean, she's seen the results of like how well my cats do, and, I don't know why this is happening, but boy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, they get Reiki. Every time I go, I wear my Sarah shirts and my sweatshirts and everything. But I've tried to, do a presentation there, but there wasn't any interest. And, I just they let me put my cards up on the bulletin board, and I just kept bringing it up every time I bring the cat in. I try to make a reference to Reiki. She'd come in, and I'd be sitting there doing, just meditating with my cats to keep them quiet while, they were waiting. And it's been frustrating, frankly.
Earlier this morning, Melanie Jackson was on the call, and she made a really good point. Like when she talked to her vet, she brought up, how it's good for animals. And we're really lucky we have the let animals lead method of animal Reiki. Whereas when you presented, we didn't have that term. So it was just Reiki. It was too grouped into that human Reiki, but now we're very distinct. But Melanie was saying that she, said this is really good for the staff and for the vets, because, she was saying to her vet, you also need support because your profession has one of the highest rates of suicide. And so I don't know that she was successful necessarily, but it was a really great thing to bring up, that we need to start focusing on what they will get out of it. It's not just, hey, can I come do Reiki? But this is how it could benefit you, and it could benefit in your office. Now people might get along better because we have some techniques that help, you know, kind of dissolve the butting of heads between staff and, you know, like vet techs and vets and all that. So we really need to start focusing on these other benefits that we offer besides, you know, hey, we can bring peace to your animals, because I don't think they can necessarily get their heads wrapped around that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I actually at one time had somebody whose dog was in a car accident with their dad, and so the dog was in surgery, and they talked to somebody who knew me and said, "Oh, call Kelly," and they asked the vet if I could come and do Reiki, and the vet was open to it. It was a surgical center. And I went up there, and they had a room all ready for me to go in and sit with the dog and everything. And it was great. I mean, it's a perfect situation. And that's kind of what I thought was going to happen with the other place. But, you know, I haven't really had that many opportunities like that.
Did you follow up with them? Did you like ask, say, hey, is it something you might be interested in? And this is
yeah, they didn't want me posting anything, you know, or any cards. They said I could put my business cards up, but flyers or anything about classes they weren't interested in. I followed up with quite a few. There's some I just keep going back into who are really nice every time I go in, and I just keep doing it, you know. Someday it's gonna click.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know what you were saying too, Leah. I mean, we were at that conference. I remember we were doing chair Reiki, and I had this vet who sat down and just cried the whole time I did the chair Reiki with her. And she said it's just so hard, all, you know, because she was euthanizing animals and just really struggling with that, and didn't have time to process it. It's pretty much what she told me. I just don't have time. I can't stop and process it.
Yeah, that was so we were at the AHVMA, which is the American Holistic Veterinary Conference in it was 2010, and we had a booth, and we had 4 people offering Reiki, and then there was Kathleen and I, and Kathleen was speaking, and we had, you know, at first people weren't really sure about Reiki, about animal Reiki and everything, but by the time people started to talk about it and get treatments, we had the most popular booth at the whole show. It was just a line constantly. But it was really interesting because there were quite a few instances where the vets would start crying. I remember there was a young guy that worked with Carrie. He's probably in his 30s, and he broke down because his heart was so broken from having to euthanize so many animals. And so it's really something that maybe we can think about wording that, where we can approach these vets and say, look, you know, we're here for you. And just give them some share treatments to say, like, look, what if I come in and just look, it's weird. Yes, we're gonna own it. This is weird, but just sit down and get a chair treatment. Now you can understand how it can help you, but also help the animals, help the people that are coming in with their animals, and maybe they have to transition. You know, there's so many things, so many ways we can help support that.
Absolutely. And, you know, earlier you mentioned, Leah, you know, that we have to be of service to the vet. And I think that's important. You know, we can't just, for those of us trying to go in, you know, and just starting this, it's important to keep in mind that it's not just, oh, let me come in and do Reiki on the animals, because there is a lot of misinformation about Reiki. Even if we say let animals lead, they may not know what it is. And they also have to consider how it's going to affect them and their business. You know, vets are strictly licensed, and they're inspected, and they have to report everything. And all it takes is one person complaining, and they can be under investigation. You know, so they're probably looking at it like, ooh, how is this person? Are they a liability to me? You know, and they have to protect themselves. So it takes us time to develop that trust in that relationship with the vets. And some vets, we may never be able to do that. You know, if there's a vet who thinks that there's demons or whatever, which I would just, you know, that surprises me, because I would think the vet would think, oh, this is woo-woo and it doesn't work and it's just phony baloney, because they're people of science and medicine. So that's kind of
That's weird.
surprises me to hear that.
Well, I know. And then you also said, like in earlier, Jamie, about how, that's why our accreditations are so important, like, the CPR, and even studying animal Reiki and making sure your education is up to date.
Right.
You had mentioned that.
Yes. And both Leah and I come from a world, I came from fire prevention. And if you let your credentials expire, you didn't work.
Right.
Go home. When you can get them renewed, you can come work again. So for some fields, and I believe that the medical field is that way too, those types of things are really important. And we can do that. We can get CPR. We can see what kind of animal classes our local university is offering. We can take another Reiki class. It doesn't matter that, it's not like you just learn to become a Reiki practitioner and then you quit. We just keep taking classes. We keep growing. We keep learning. And all of that, when we present that to the vets that we approach, then they see we're serious and we have credentials. And, okay, well, it kind of speaks on their term because they understand about credentials and continuing education. They have to do it too.
Yeah, I think continuing education is something they're very familiar with. So if we can go in there with some handouts about what this animal Reiki is, the code of ethics that shows that we work in conjunction with vets, maybe bringing in the Healing Virtues book, but having a really clear explanation of what we do and what we don't do. And then also, some testimonials about your work. And even if you aren't doing it professionally, you can get, like, if you've helped a friend's cat, or even if it's your own dog and you saw it, just use your a made up first name and your mother's maiden name or something, and just have that, because it is something you experienced as real. And then you can have a little CV that says, like, I'm really current on all of my studies. And I take this seriously, and I am a professional, right? And so that really kind of keeps you up here instead of just, hey, I want to offer this. It's like when you go into the shelters and you're like, oh, I want to offer Reiki. This happens a lot. I want to offer Reiki. And they're like, we don't know what Reiki is. And then people are like, oh, well, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to offer Reiki. And for me, I remember when I went to the Humane Society in Silicon Valley, I offered Reiki, but I went through the training to be a regular volunteer, and I volunteered in the hospital. And then I got to see the vets. I got to talk to the vet techs, and they got to know me and started to trust me. And so when I would go in after my cleaning shift and sit with the sick kitties, the kitties who had come out of surgery, I would sit there for an hour and meditate. And some kitties, they'd be hanging out with their paws and everything out of just trying to get as close as possible to me. And then some kitties would stay in the back. But the vet techs and the vet started to notice that the animals were really relaxed after I'd been there. And they started to say, okay, well, you know what? Actually, can you sit with this cat in particular? And they called it Reiki. Could you help that? But they really were open to it because they saw that I wasn't trying to shove something down their throat. I was just being very passive, and they got to learn it. Now, I know if you were in a vet's office, that isn't, but if you have a local shelter, you could go volunteer in the medical department. Like, I think most humane societies and SPCAs have a medical section where a vet will come and they'll do little surgeries, even like spay and neuter, or just small little things for the animals. So that's a really wonderful way to get your foot in it. And Jamie, you made a really good comment about community and the shelters. And I know that Kelly was just kind of referencing it, like how small communities, everybody knows each other, right?
Yes. And so if you don't take it personally, if you can't get into the vet's office, definitely contact the shelters and your local rescue groups, because especially if it's a smaller community, the animal community knows each other. The vets know the animal rescue people because they deal with them all the time. They know the shelter, they deal with them all the time. And if you go in and you win the trust of a rescue group or a shelter, they're going to bring that up sometime. Maybe they're at a convention, or maybe they're taking an animal in to be treated, one of theirs, and it may come up. And so you build that relationship, and then you have some trust. So the vet goes, oh, okay, so this person actually works, or volunteers at your shelter or with this rescue group, and I trust this rescue group. So if they trust them, then, maybe I can too. So it's about build the whole community. It's not just, oh, I volunteer at shelters, or, oh, I'm with rescue groups, or I'm with, vet clinics. That's where I want to be. It is a community, especially, with animals. It is, and caring for animals in our community. It is a community, and they all know each other. They may not like each other, but they all know each other, and they all talk. And so it's so important that no matter where we are, what we're doing, we command ourselves with integrity. Because if we allow our reputation to get soiled because we're having a bad day and we take it out on the cashier and we're absolutely crazy, totally out of line, you never know who's around, and who that is going to get back to. And then you just lose all credibility, and you have to rebuild that.
Like that story I shared this morning, my friend Christy, she got in an altercation at this little food place.
Yes.
And then, and it was bad. It was over masks, and they were, because I was on the phone with her, and it's like, F you and F you. And I'm like, oh my God, Christy, what's going on? Well, she goes to her husband. He coaches kids soccer, and she goes to the soccer game, and this woman's son is on his team. And Christy said neither one of them, they acted like they hadn't met. And Bert's all, oh, hey, have you met so-and-so? And Christy's like, no. Christy said, I just kind of went, just wanting to see if this woman, because she didn't want to, disempower her. And the woman just acted like she hadn't met Christy, and everything was fine. And then, because she wanted her son to do well. It was just very uncomfortable for everyone, right? So you don't know when you're in, and they live in Brentwood, California, which isn't that small. And so it was very uncomfortable and not expected, right? But that's what the universe will do sometimes. It'll just kick you in the butt.
And you can't undo that.
No.
You really can't. I mean, you may be able to mend fences, but you can't undo that. And that could be your whole Reiki career.
Well, people film it. People were filming them.
Yes.
And so God only knows where it went, and if somebody recognizes you, right, it's on somebody's Facebook and somebody just randomly sees it. And I mean, there's just, in this day and age, we just can't afford to. And we're not in our practice if we do that. Right. I mean, I think you said earlier, what if the Dalai Lama, screamed or yelled or slapped somebody, it'd be like, oh my gosh. But everything he built to that point would just be crumbled. Yes. It would just be dust, because you can't trust somebody like that.
No.
And so just being that pillar in the community is really important.
Yes. I like that. A pillar in the community. So we are always in our practice, we're always, when we're out there, whether we like it or not, we are displaying Reiki. This is what Reiki looks like to people, and our behavior tells them a lot.
It really
it's
does.
Just kind of going from a place of how can I be helpful, in any situation is the best way to approach it.
Yes.
In the shelter, and, like we're out, the girls that I volunteer with, they go to a different shelter. A couple of my students, they go up to another shelter, and they do dishes. I do dishes, washing. It's been a while since I have, because I'm there on Sundays. So I usually have everything done when I get in. But, there've been times when the dishes were piled up in the sink, and I just roll up my sleeves and join them. I clean up when the dog pees on the floor, when we're, doing a session, and I'm up in a room with them, or get them water if it looks like their water bowl is low or whatever. Just when you see, change the toilet paper roll, simple as that. If you see something that needs to be done, don't go get somebody and tell them, just go and do it.
No, absolutely. You have to be of service. It's not just a one, and I know we have that situation sometimes with members in Sarah, where they don't want to do anything but go offer Reiki. And you have to be of service, and that's with the vets. That's what you want to do. You want to approach them and say, I have something for you. I have something that could help you, not what can you do for me? It's here's what I can do for you. And I want to do this because this is what I love to do. And so it can make a huge difference. But again, finding a vet who's open. Holistic vets are usually more open. Like when we were at the AHVMA, and even they were a little bit closed off until they found out what it was about and they could trust it. And then they're like, oh, okay. So you might have to say, look, just let me do some free treatments. And that might be awkward for them, but thank God we've got the chair treatment. We could say, look, we could just, if there's, just call me, I could come in if you have a stray dog, if it's a dog that has been found or something, like if they don't want to have the liability with the person, maybe offer like, hey, if you have a dog, or during times of transitioning, look, why don't you let me help when you have to transition an animal? Call me, I will come and I'll hold space, and you could see the difference between that. I suggested earlier going to your shelter, your county shelter that does a lot of euthanasias, if you have that kind of strength, and sit and help animals transition out, because animals are in the moment. They're not thinking of yesterday or tomorrow. And so if you can give them love on their transition out, that's a huge honor. And if you can teach people that, it can change everything for them. Now the vets can look at it in a more positive light. I was the last person and I gave this animal love. And that can help heal them, knowing that it's a great honor to be able to transition this animal and do it with love in their heart. So there's lots of ways we could help.
I think that one's a tricky one though, because like at least in this shelter situation, or if they don't know you very well, I think it's hard for them to let anybody into that area when they're doing it, because they don't know how you're going to react. Like people can go in and be like, I can handle it, but if they don't know you, then.
And that's where our CV and our experience comes into play. That's where we really have to sell ourselves. We have to present ourselves as what we're saying we are. Like, look, I understand, and you have to kind of put their hesitations at ease. We have to say, I know this is hard. I understand it's hard. And that is why I want to offer my services. I am here not because this is easy or because this is something that's enjoyable. It's something that's very hard. And I recognize that. But I'm here to offer this because this is what I do. I help with animals. It is my life's purpose, right? So I think that, yes, of course, they're not going to be able to trust you, but it's like with anything. If you were a new vet in town, somebody might not trust you. You have to earn trust, but the best way is to sell yourself. And so it's really important for you to feel comfortable with whatever you're offering, whether it's that or offering to be in a vet's office. Because if you go in and go, oh, I don't really feel comfortable about this, I'm not really sure how this will work, that you've lost them, because now you aren't confident. And confidence is everything. We have to go in and say, yes, this is who I am. This is what I do. Here's some information. I'm a professional. Here's my, here's all of my certifications and everything. I'm up to speed. I'm certified in fear-free or whatever it is, animal CPR, and I would love to be of service to you. And, being professional is the difference between getting in or not. It's just like a job interview. You want to go in there and have strength and confidence and be prepared, right? So I think that really that's another reason why sometimes we lose it, because I know for myself, I'm sometimes not that confident when I'm going in and asking for something. And I know that's why I lose it, because I really need to be like, no, really, this is going to help you. This is a benefit. And if you're open to doing something different, like, there's some shelters, the shelter in Oregon here, the Humane Society, they're going to be doing this whole new building with all these state-of-the-art things. Well, I'm going to be going there and saying, look, if you want state-of-the-art here, this is state-of-the-art. This is the next level. And they're already talking, fear-free and NVAC, which is one of their accreditation or governing bodies. They have a type of fear-free. It's not fear-free like Dr. Marty Becker, but it is a type of that. People are thinking about letting animals lead, letting them be more comfortable. What we're doing is a perfect complement to that. So we have to be really confident. Hey, I know that this seems, a little off, but I'm telling you, give me a chance. Just let me do this. It is cutting edge and it works. We can say behind us, we have thousands of animals that have been helped by this. Thousands of people have studied this. This isn't some fly by night. We have an organization, for those of you who are all in Sarah, for those of you who are in Sarah, and you can say we're an international company. We're doing this all over the world, right? Yes, exactly, Nancy. Oh, wear your shirt in there like Kelly does, Look at let animals lead. We're telling you right there. Oh, Kelly's got the elephant.
Got the elephants today.
We have 2 new t-shirts coming out to you guys. Well, they're actually old t-shirts, but we're redoing them. So one is Tame the Beast Within, and it's got a picture of a drawing of a tiger's face, and it says Meditate in Sarah. And the other one is Unleash the Peace, with a dog jumping up to catch a peace sign frisbee. And the little, oh, you have one of those? Okay, great. Yeah, those are.
I wore that sweatshirt recently, and my friend was like, oh, "Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? I want one." I was like, "Guess what? We're doing a
right. We're doing
again.
it again.
Right, you can get one.
Yeah, I think I have 5. I've got 2 short sleeved, 1 long sleeved, a sweatshirt, and a hoodie.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I think I have. I don't think I have the tiger, but I think I have the.
Yeah, the tiger we haven't, in fact, because we've been with Bonfire for, oh gosh, I think 7 years. But for the first 2 years, they had a different platform, and then they moved. Well, Tame the Beast didn't get moved, and so because when I was trying to find it, I was like, oh wow, that's weird. We don't even have that. So yeah, we haven't done it for a long time, but it's really cool. I love that. So yeah, it'll be very fun to do that.
So I have always sort of, I have not like put myself out there with the vets or anything, but I've sort of tried to live, live who I am. And so I found out like a month ago that my dog's the vet clinic, they had a party. I think it was a New Year's party or a first time no COVID, party or something. And I got voted their most favorite client.
Oh my gosh, Nancy.
You're kidding me, but immediately I'm going, well, yeah, I can see that. Because, they can see, I demonstrate this when I take my dogs in. They see me a lot. I mean, I have 5 dogs right now.
Yeah.
And this morning, I just got through scheduling appointments from now through August for the next round, and I just try to, they see how my dogs do. They see how I interact with my dogs. One of my dogs, my old girl, who's 13 and a half, I started going to this vet who is a holistic vet. And when she had sort of torn her ACL, the leg wasn't. And everybody was saying, do surgery, do surgery, do surgery. Well, as a physical therapist, I have this different sense about knees and ACLs and stuff. And a lot of humans do so much better without the surgery. So I went to her and I explained that. And she says, well, honestly, my opinion is that she needs the surgery, but I'll work with you. So she did cold laser, she did acupuncture, and we changed her diet. And then I was doing acupressure and Reiki. And in a year, the vet watched her walk across the room and said, you can't tell she ever did anything to her knee.
Wow.
And I go, that's right. But it took all of us to do that. Well, and it took Jenny to let us.
Well, a lot of times they have that surgery and they have to stay still for so long. They end up re-injuring it because they can't.
That was my experience with my first dog. He was a rescue Pomeranian. He had horrible knees. And so at that point, I went, okay. And he was so stressed that on the crate rest, he would stand there and vibrate. And he literally undid all of the surgery in both knees because he was so stressed. So that
I didn't really see that as a really good example.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
That's wonderful that you have such a great rapport with your vets, though.
Well, it is, but it is, by example.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't go in there and talk about, I mean, I think she vaguely knows, some of my background, but it's just mostly I try to present what I believe and behave in a manner that's, tied to those beliefs.
I
So
love that.
they see that,
Mhm.
And so I think, and the same thing happens in my, when I work with people who have reactive dogs, because the dogs, I mean, they just fall in love with me because I think that I may be the first human that they've met that isn't threatening, that isn't making them do things, that's allowing them to choose what they do and what they don't do. And, so the owners are always so surprised because, they're reactive dogs and they react to other dogs and other people and all of that. So I loved your phrase of, what was it? When you said, always in our practice.
Mhm.
Yeah, if we can just always be in our practice, then that's going to make a huge difference wherever you are with whoever you are with.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Nancy. I love
Yes.
that.
That's wonderful. That old saying, what you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you say.
Oh, I
true.
love that.
I mean, that's what people see, and that's how they're going to judge us by what we do. So it doesn't matter what we say. We can be all like, oh, yes, we're like this. But if we're a maniac out there, that's what they're going to remember. Yeah.
Right? Right? Oh my God.
And I tell you a very short story.
Yeah, of
I
course.
had a new patient come in for physical therapy, a knee, I think. And the practice I work in is in Dallas, Oregon, which is very rural, very small. And we serve surrounding communities that are even more rural and more small. So this gentleman comes in and he's laying on the treatment table so that I can check out his knee and stuff. And I noticed there's a knife sheath, a leather knife sheath sticking out below his shirt. And I go, oh, and I flip it, go, oh, do you have a knife? And he says, yes, I do. And I said, is there a knife in this? And he says, yes, there is. And he says, would you like to see it? And I go, oh, yes. So he pulls out that it was a very beautiful knife, and so I looked at it. My son really is into knives. So, we talked about that a little bit, but, I could just see somebody who wasn't trying to be in their practice, right? Just freaking out that, oh my God, my patient got a knife on him, a real knife.
Judgment, right?
Yes,
Judgment.
yes. Rather than recognizing that this guy is a hunter and he's living on the land and, that's part of who he is and it's with him always. And,
Yeah.
And I grew up in that kind of a culture, but but I just went, oh, thank goodness.
Right.
So he'll come back.
Yeah, of course he will, because he didn't
Yeah.
feel judged. He
That's
felt accepted.
Mhm.
And I think that's really important. We have to put our own stuff aside and accept people. And it's also what the vets are going to see too. You're a person that likes everyone. You're welcoming to everyone. We can't be snobbish at all. So I just want to recap because we can get a couple more questions in and then do our meditation. But so we want to find a vet who is open, show that you're informed, like through your certifications and things, have handouts. So if you're a Sarah member, we have these beautiful brochures, but if you're not, you can go onto, so we have these beautiful brochures that have the Sarah thing. But if you're not a Sarah member, you can go onto the Shelter Animal Reiki Association website and download some of the what is animal Reiki, or you can go to Kathleen Prasad's site, or you can go to our animal-bonds-.com site. Good God, animal-bonds.com. It's like a tongue twister for me.
It is.
And we have lots of blogs and information on there that you can download. So lots of ways to get more information. And then don't forget, you want to approach them and say, this is how I can help you. Not how can you help me? This is how I can help you. And this is my experience, right? And which is why we just really want to go in there prepared and professional if we want vets to take us seriously.
Have some references available too.
Yes,
And
yes, testimonials, references.
people they can call it.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're starting out, you might not have that. But again, testimonials or a friend you might have helped, that could be a really good referral. You don't have to have a long, professional referral list. Everyone has to start somewhere. And the more experience you have, the better. And I think you brought up in the morning time, Jamie, like you can get a reference from your shelter if you're at your shelter.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If you just want to ask friends, if you can work with their animals and ask them for a reference, or from your shelter would be great, because these vets will go, oh, this shelter is, referring this person. They recommend them. Because I had to recently call in a behaviorist. I mentioned this earlier, and I found her by Googling, checking the reviews, but also there are like 5 or 6 vet clinics that recommend her. And so that that carried a lot of weight for me.
Mhm.
And so those kind of things matter, our professionalism, because we are professionals. We're not just people, people who do Reiki and we're out there. We are professionals, and we need to present ourselves that way. I
love that. Yep.
Another thing you can try is, and I've done this with the shelter, though they have yet to take me up with it, most businesses have a staff appreciation day.
Mhm.
And so offer, if you're going to do a staff appreciation day, I'm happy to come in and do chair Reiki and, just 10 minutes for each person or whatever. So
that's usually in April too, staff appreciation. I think it's like the 3rd week or something of April. I remember because
I think shelters, I know they do want like humane or, animal shelter appreciation day. We should probably have that on the calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. That's a great idea, Kelly.
That is a great idea.
During staff appreciation.
Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to kind of, get your foot in the door if you're not working there yet or volunteering there yet, because you're offering something to their staff.
They're always looking for ideas, they never,
that is a really good idea, because especially if you're in a community now, you don't want to be the only one, but if you have friends who are Reiki, and just teaching them that simple chair treatment, you can get a lot of different people to come. That's what I did at my shelter at the Humane Society of Silicon Valley. I had some students, but we got a couple other people that weren't my students and taught them the chair treatment. And then, because Reiki practitioners can do the chair treatment very easily. And then there were a lot of us, and we were booked all day long. It was great because, at first nobody signs up. So you do a couple people and they go talk about it. And now they're just like at the AHVMA. And then pretty soon you're really busy and you're like, oh my gosh, we don't have any more room for the day. So it's just a really wonderful thing. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Kelly, because that is a really great offering.
Yes.
But I would like to say, what?
People do talk.
They do.
I was teaching a class at our local shelter, and I don't know if they were really into it, but they liked the publicity, they thought it could make money. And so I went, and I had their head vet tech, who had been there 7 years, which is a long time at this shelter because it's a tough shelter. And she finally told me, she took the class. She was very quiet. Everybody was really quiet. And I thought, oh, this isn't going well. I went to lunch and they all took off. Usually they want to kind of sit with you or talk. They didn't, they're gone. I didn't even know where the lunchroom was. So I'm like, this is not going well. Well, we came back and I sent everybody off to do the first meditation. And this vet tech came back and she said, okay, I have to be honest with you. When you told me to go, meditate with these animals, she said, I just rolled my eyes. I thought you were full of it. She said, but I went and I stood by this cat's cage and he was all big-eyed and scared. And as I did this meditation, I saw him relax. And she said, this stuff works. And everybody was coming up. All the other workers at the shelter were coming up to her, asking her, like, what's up with that class? What's up with that class? And she was like, no, it's for real. So, obviously everybody respected her, and she was able to say, it's for real.
Isn't that nice?
Yes.
I love that. Because sometimes it doesn't happen like that.
No, it doesn't,
We've all been there.
and it's nice that she told me that, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I wanted to say hi to Darlene. We haven't heard from Darlene yet
No, she's been
tonight. So I
quiet.
wanted to say hi. Hi, Darlene. So should we do our meditation? Because we have about 10 minutes.
Yes, I guess so. If anybody has any questions, if not,
Yeah.
we'll go right in.
Anybody have any comments or questions or anything? Oh, look at Nancy's got her animals with her. All right.
Oh, she's getting ready. She's
okay.
getting ready.
It's time for the meditation.
Yes.
Get it on.
All right.
Animals have settled in for the show.
That's right. They're ready. They're ready. Settle down, guys. So am I leading this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
Do it.
So let's all get comfortable with our spines straight. Try to release the tension in your body with a couple of deep breaths. Roll your neck, your shoulders. Just let all the stress of the day go. And now bring your hands into Gasso, that prayer position for people who may be watching. And let's just start by doing some Joshin Kokyuho breaths. So we are going to breathe in through our nose and just feel the breath go down our body and fill our belly, and just fill that up. And then on the exhale, feel all that energy and breath come back up and go out into the space around you. And just take a couple of breaths like that, breathing in all the way to the belly, and then releasing that back out into the space around you. And let's take another one, breathing in all the way down, really filling up your belly. And then exhale it back out into the space around you. And now let's set our intention and dedicate all the energy that we are about to create to the animals and to those who are in need of healing, whether that's physical or emotional, and hold those people and animals in this circle. And now you can place your hands on your lap, palms up or down, whatever's comfortable for you. And as you breathe in through your nose, visualize that you're breathing in this universal healing energy. Feel it go down your body, illuminating every cell in your body as it fills the belly, the hara. And then as you exhale, feel this energy come back up, go out through your skin, your hands, into the space around you. Take another breath in, visualizing this energy. You may think of it as a color or a light, a golden light that just fills your body and fills the hara, and then exhale this light, this energy back out to the space around you. Take another breath in and exhale back out to the space around you. Take another breath in, breathing in that beautiful light. And exhale it back out into the space around you. With every breath you take, the space grows larger and larger. So just continue to breathe like that on your own, knowing that this healing space is filling your room, your home, your community. It comforts the planet like a blanket, and it extends up into the heavens. And now let your breath find a natural rhythm. But if any time your mind wanders, go back to that breath. And now place your focus on your heart center. If it helps, you can even place your hands over your heart. Feel that energy in your heart. And as you breathe, this energy fills your heart center. And it just grows larger and larger. And it fills with so much energy that you just can't hold all this beautiful love anymore. And your heart center opens, and like a flower blooms, it unfolds. And this beautiful light shines out. And you can feel the love and the warmth and the peace fill your body. And now bring to your mind your animals, or all the animals and people that need healing. And allow this light to surround them, comforting them. Hold them in this space. And just see that beautiful light shine out of you and surround all those who need healing. And then repeat to yourself, all is well, all is well, all is well. And then pause and know you're in the presence of the divine. And then repeat again, all is well, all is well, all is well. And pause. All is well, all is well, all is well. Pause. All is well, all is well, all is well. And allow the energy of that mantra, all is well, to comfort everyone you're holding in that beautiful space. Allow it to bring the joy into your heart and the love, as you know that all is well. And you trust, and you're in the flow of life. And just hold that space a little bit longer for them so they know all is well. We are all this divine light. And in that divine light is perfection. There's love, there's joy, there's healing. And that's who we really are. All of us. And now, thank all those who joined you. Thank the beautiful universal Reiki energy. Take a deep breath all the way down to the hara, just to ground yourself again. And when you're ready, you can come back into this space and open your eyes.
Thank you so much, Jamie. That was beautiful.
Oh,
I
you're
was
welcome.
like, woo. I felt like I was like gonna faint or something. I was like, whoa, I need to ground myself. I'm getting too floating away.
Floating out there.
I know. I was like floating somewhere else. No, that was beautiful. And I love it. I have to leave now because I got to go to class. So does Darlene and so does Nancy. But thank you so much.
Yes,
And
thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Have a fabulous week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much, Kelly,
Good
for
to
coming.
see you all.
We
Yeah,
love
cool. I
seeing
love it.
you.
It's always
Mwah.
fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mwah.